1 minute. Good morning. How are you? Good. That energy? I want to hear a little louder. Hey! Okay, cohort 15, that's what I like. Good morning, good morning. As I told you yesterday, you're what we call cohort 15, or class of 2026. So welcome. Welcome to our Maria de Molina campus. This is a city campus that we have in the middle of financial district and a very vibrant district, so we really think it's the perfect place to start your journey. A journey of transformation, as we were talking yesterday, right? And we also discussed how we and you as a cohort, right, need each other to be successful, right? We think this is doable. We actually have some other people that have done it before and are here with us. James, do you feel like this is your first day of school?
March 2020, cohort 10, room different, this has had a nice refurb, but the buzziness is the same, room full of people who you don't know but who you're going to know really well over the next few months, and just the excitement. I wish I could do it all over again.
Okay.
It's just a lot of work.
So I think we must have done something good if they keep saying this, right? Saying this and they keep coming back. But thank you for coming back to your alma maters. And we'll have a session afterwards where they'll share with you how they're wiser, maybe a little older, and how this program has helped them through their professional achievements, which are many, by the way. So in 2011, iBusiness School and Brown University joined forces to create this unique program, integrating social sciences into a core business administration curriculum. And this program was built in the belief that the human sciences are relevant to the management of organizations. So congratulations for agreeing on this belief, right? And congratulations for being here. We have the senior leadership of the two schools that are here today to welcome you. And I actually asked them to define themselves in a very different way than a normal introduction. So let me introduce you to the first speaker. He defines himself as a disruptor that rarely takes no for an answer and secretly wants to be the director at a creative agency. So please let me introduce you Lee Newman, Dean of iBusiness School, who happens to be a Brown alum, to officially welcome you to our institution. Please, Lee.
I have to admit to a little ChatGPT help on that, that phrase. But, well, welcome to all of you students, of course, and colleagues from both schools. It's a pleasure to have you here. Once again, the Brown team has packed the weather from Providence and brought it to Madrid. It seems to happen every year. I don't know. It's like the climate science team there. They've got some kind of secret. But welcome to all of you. It's fantastic to have you here to start this fantastic program. This is school. I don't know if anyone shared that with you. You're in school now, right? Is that clear? We're all in the right place? Okay. So let me give you your first assignment. I'd like you to look around. So the students are here and over here. Please look around at each other. Okay, so you are looking at people who are going to be your best friends for life. As James alluded to, this is a very difficult program with lots of challenges, and the challenges themselves are difficult, but by the way, you have to balance that with this thing called job, friends, family, social life. That word will sort of disappear. But you'll have to balance these things, and you will go through this together, and we know from experience that this process, you will make some friends and a network of people for the rest of your life. So you passed assignment 1. Let me ask you to look around again, maybe more broadly, look to some different rows, maybe, look around. Okay, thank you. You passed. You're also looking at some people who, if I may say, are going to be your antagonists for a year, people who might be a little bit of your rival, people that might cause you a little trouble. Look around again, you might see them. And I'm gonna comment a little bit on that, because the reason I mention that is because I wanna say a few things about it. But so that's a natural thing to happen, right? I mean, we're all different. We all have different ways of working, different leadership styles, et cetera. Could I have my next slide, please? Or do I have to click it here? Thank you very much. So the reason I mentioned the antagonist is because we have this idea at IU Business School, and we share it with our Brown colleagues as well, in the sense of this, the next best you. This is everything that we do at IU Business School. This is how we think about education, that it's not just about knowledge and skills, but it's actually about transforming people. Okay, now that transformation is a popular word these days, but we take this very seriously. And so it comes from a deep human truth that we believe in, which is that everyone is a work in progress. Raise your hand if you're a work in progress. You see, it's a very deep human truth. All of you raised your hands. Thank you for that. Everyone is a work in progress. And so you all come today to this program as what we call your current you. So in your applications, you told us many of the wonderful things about yourselves. You have your strengths, you have your dreams, you have your aspirations. You also have, if I may say, those pesky little gaps. Anyone from HR here? Raise your hand. Any HR people, HR talent kind of people here? Good. So then what do those people then call those little pesky gaps that they ask us to fill?
Areas of growth.
Areas of growth. That's a really good one. Then there's areas for development, which is slightly more clear. Right? But we all have those. We all have those, right? And so the idea is you have your current you with its greatness and also these little areas for growth. And you're in an educational program to fill some of those areas of growth. So there's the current you, and what we want you to do over the next 15 months is to chart a course for the next best you. Okay, and we don't know what that looks like. You don't know what that looks like, but we'd like you to start thinking about it starting today. What is the next best version of yourself? What might that person be? So when we think about the next best you, we make it easy by saying that there are 3 things you can think about in your pursuit of the next best you. First is your career, the second is your impact, and the third is your purpose. And I want to hit each of those things a little bit, just to share that with you so you have this in mind. So on career, I think it's pretty straightforward. I mean, you're in an executive MBA program, so you're going to learn a lot of business acumen. In some cases, some topics will be totally new to you. I mean, maybe you've never really done financial accounting, so you will. Others have probably quite a bit of experience in accounting or finance, and this will be a chance to deepen it. So I think your career part here is quite clear, that you're doing an executive MBA as a way to further in your career, okay? But then there's the purpose part that I want to hit next. So this is the idea that can you make connections in this pursuit of your next best you to some purpose or to meaning or something that matters to you in the work that you do or in the life that you live. And we invite you to think about that. But let me make that a little more concrete. So I'll do another little homework assignment. We'll do a little poll. I'd like you to think about all the managers you've had in your professional careers to date. Okay, think of them, just review them in your mind. And raise your hand if you had a boss who did not take the time to understand you, develop you, and who you feel did not have your best interests in mind during their tenure managing you. Raise your hand. Okay. Pretty much everybody raised their hand. So what does that say about the status or the state of leadership and management in the world? Right? Lots to do there. So, Gallup, the polling agency Gallup, they do this annual global employee engagement survey, right? And what they typically find, the number varies a little bit, but not much. What they find is only 30% of global employees are fully engaged in their jobs. Only 30%, right? The larger group is partly engaged. They're sort of doing their job, but not with passion and meaning. And then there's a fairly sizable minority that come to work and their mission is to sabotage the work of others. And that's called actively disengaged in the language of Gallup. So I mention this as part of your purpose because I would like for all of you to graduate from this program and be the type of people, when people work for you or with you, they go home every day or every week feeling good, feeling great maybe. Like they want to work with you, right? You make them as a leader or as a manager feel good, work well, and you bring out the best in those people. So those are some things you could think about with respect to purpose. Now, I guess the point I want to make there is that your actions have power as a colleague, as a manager, as a leader. So I'd like you to think of yourselves, each of you, maybe as chief behavior officers. I mean, you wanted to get to the C-suite, so you're there. You're chief behavior officers, okay? And when you think about chief behavior officers, I'd like to share with you an idea. I brought my pills with me, my red pill and my blue pill. It happens to be blue, so blue stands for positive and red stands for negative. We'll say that brown is brown, even though the colors are brown and red. But this stands for, so this is and these have nothing to do with the matrix. But think about it this way. Each of us, every day, we're giving out these pills and we're receiving these pills, okay? Blue pills, positive emotion. Someone says, hey, fantastic presentation you gave yesterday to that client. Great pitch, okay? Blue pill. Someone doesn't take the time to give you any feedback, or someone steals your credit in front of the boss. Big red pill, right? So the idea of being chief behavior officers is how can you, as colleagues, as managers and leaders, create an environment where we're giving out more blue pills and we don't really get rid of red pills, but we can do a lot to manage them when they arise, okay? Does that make sense? So I'm going to come back to that, so I want to make sure we're clear. So how do we deal with the red pills when they arise is a question I'd like you to think about for a second. So now let me move to your impact, okay? So what is that for us? That's not social impact, that could be part of purpose. For us, impact skills are the skills you need to make big things happen in difficult situations in the workplace, and perhaps most interestingly, with challenging people in the workplace, or difficult people in the workplace. So those are what we call impact skills, and you'll have many, many chances in this program to develop those kinds of skills in a very explicit way in your courses. But beyond that, there's a more subtle aspect to it, and that's what I want to focus the remainder of my comments on. So I'd like you to raise your hand if you can think of a difficult person currently in your professional life. Raise your hand. Okay. You don't have any difficult people in your professional lives? Can I have your job? Let me try again. Raise your hand if there's a difficult person that you can think of. Okay, most of you are trying to figure out which of the difficult people is the one that you wanted to bring to mind. So there's lots of little unproductive behaviors that those difficult people have that, don't sync well with you. Now, I'd like to flip it, though. I always like to flip this question here and ask you, isn't each of us a difficult person for someone else? Raise your hand if you really think that's true. I do, because I know I am. Okay? So each of us, on the other side of it, is a difficult person for someone else. Why? Why? That's a real question, not rhetorical. Why? Okay, so we're a difficult person for someone else because maybe they don't understand us. Okay, what else?
Depending on your role, you quite literally could be a roadblock. You could be
So because of your role, you're in the way of what they want to do, so you're a difficult person for them. Okay.
Because we're all imperfect.
Okay, so, the first two comments I accept, but they were a little bit of sort of, well, it's not really me, it's kind of me. Now we're getting to me, so maybe I have a way of working that just doesn't sync well with your way of working, right? And that's fine. I mean, we're all different. We have different working styles, different personalities, coming from many different cultures in this program. So I think each of us are difficult people for others. Now, I always like to make that very concrete and get this program off to a good start. So I am in a club of people. It's a special club. So if you talk to people that work with me, they're all over the place here. They'll tell you I'm not a very good listener. I know it's surprising. I'm just standing here listening. So I'm in a club. I have a badge. It's a Bad Listeners Club badge. If you want one, you can have one. It's not a very exclusive club. We have chapters all over the world. We're the type of people who we get really excited when other people are talking, so we interrupt them because we want to get in. We don't want to lose our thoughts on the positive side. Or we just don't want to listen and we're thinking about an email we need to send or something in our personal lives or whatever it might be, right? Or we're multitasking. How many of you, if we want to be honest, get this program off to a very candid start? Raise your hand if you're in the Bad Listeners Club. Okay. I'm getting about 30, 40%. I have data on this, by the way. It's almost always 70% in every group I've tested. I have thousands and thousands of data points. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I hope that actually the 70% that did not raise their hand are truly good listeners. Now, there's another club. We won't raise our hands on this one. It's a badge. You can't read it, but it says Micromanagers Anonymous. Why? Oh, we have some people raising their hand. I love this. This is fantastic. Now, why do we do that? Okay, that's a really, a very open way to think about it, yes? Because we like to control things, but what's the root of wanting to control things? Trust issues. Okay, but if you, me, one of us have a brand new team that's not particularly experienced, and you have big KPIs, and you don't hit your KPIs, your salary goes down, should you trust?
If you don't trust, no, that's the work. Normally, check it.
Yeah, so I mean, there's no right answer to this, right? There's lots of answers, but the point is, we all are under a lot of pressure to deliver results in our jobs, except for these three here, that don't have anybody that's difficult in their jobs, and they have no pressure and no KPIs. But, and they're going to be hiring everyone in the middle of the program. But, so we're all under pressure, and the point is that sometimes it's hard to trust other people because you want things to come out well, and you're the manager, you're the leader, you got to make it happen, right? So I'd like you to think. So we have bad listeners, we have micromanagers, we have these different clubs. So I'd like you to think right now of one behavior. I'm talking about behaviors here, not doing finance or doing marketing strategies. What's one behavior that you could change that you think would give you the highest ROI in terms of making you a better business professional, a more effective business professional in the workplace? Think about it. I'm not going to ask you what it is, although some of you may blurt it out anyway. Think about it. Raise your hand if you can think of one. Okay? Keep thinking. You have 15 months to choose at least one and work on it, okay? So let me explain why I've mentioned pills, these little unproductive behaviors, and the antagonist, if we go back to the beginning, these antagonists that are out there. So in a way, what we've done, the two institutions here, is we've created a fantastic program that in a way is a perfect storm, okay? In the sense that what happens when you take a very diverse group of people that think differently, coming from different backgrounds, different personalities, different leadership styles, et cetera, we put you together in teams that, by the way, you don't always get to choose. We choose them. We get put in teams, and we give you tough assignments, short deadlines, and you have that other thing called your job sitting out there as well. And zero budget, by the way. There's no budget for your projects. And we say, good luck. What happens in that context? What might happen? What? What's going to happen? Conflict. Any other good words that you want to add? Stress, conflict. I like to say turbulence. Right? You get turbulence and stress and conflict, okay? Now, though that stress and conflict can create what we like to call game-changing moments for you as as professionals, as leaders. Okay, they could be seeds of self-transformation that take you to a new level. So if someone tells me, Lee, you really got to start listening better and considering other people's ideas. Okay, tough feedback, but good feedback's true, right? So if I work on that, I get better. So you could have these game-changing moments. Now, this is the part of the program. I mentioned that there's something subtle here. You'll have classes in leadership and many skills that you'll learn in a conceptual way. But it's really working together in teams, talking in class that is a class in itself that lasts 15 months. And what you get out of that class depends on a lot of things. Like what? What's going to need to happen for you to make the most of the turbulence and conflict in teams and in classroom discussions? Think about it for a second. What? Sorry? I wasn't listening. What? Good Wi-Fi? What else? What needs to happen? Someone's going to give you some tough feedback. You don't like what they say, right? Okay, so we're going to need to compromise, which means letting go. Sorry? You got to be open-minded, right? It sounds like, okay, that's obvious. We don't always have open minds, especially when someone gives us negative feedback. And what about when someone gives you negative feedback that isn't packaged in a way that you like? Just doesn't have enough sugar on there, right? You're coming from very different styles, et cetera. So are you going to listen? Are you going to pull out, extract the message and forget about the delivery? Or are you going to focus on the delivery and miss the message? Okay, so we got to drop our egos. You got to listen to each other carefully. You got to be open-minded and take things into consideration. Now that sounds easy, but you're going to be very, very busy for 15 months. So I'd like you to hold that in mind, okay? 15 months you're in a lab working with each other and you have the chance to experiment with them, with a lot of new behaviors and also get feedback that might lead you to grow, okay? Does that make sense? Okay, so you passed this initial class. Okay, now that you have to put it into play. So I really want to wish you the best for the next 15 months in this program. You have both schools, IE and Brown, to support you in this program, and a lot of people that you're going to learn about and meet this week. Couple last comments. Regardless of where you came from, Real Madrid is now your football team. Caffeine is going to be a very good friend, or a whole lot of meditation and yoga. Do thank your family and friends often during this year and the people that are around you that support you, because you're going to need it, and they need to keep supporting you. I always say that deadlines are like ninjas. They're sort of out there lurking and they sneak up on you when you don't expect it. And you have a double ninja. You have the IE Brown EMBA ninjas and your job ninjas to deal with. So good luck with that. And lastly, you know that I'm a bad listener. You've been a captive audience and a fantastic group of listeners, and for that I am very grateful. So I want you to have a fantastic program. Best wishes, and we're here, and I look forward to seeing you this week and in the other residentials. So congratulations for being here. I've got a supply of pills and tags out in the lobby.
Thank you, Lee, for the advice. I'm sure that they'll reach the next best you through these 50 months and work on those pills to be very successful. Our next speaker defines herself as a learner and a builder. I think her engineering training might help with that. But clearly a builder, because she has continually collaborated to make sure this program is successful and has collaborated since quite a few years for the growth and success of this program, and also for many other programs at Brown University. So let me introduce you Sandra Smith, the interim dean of the School of Professional Studies at Brown University.
Good morning, everyone. How was your night? Good? You're all here. Excellent. Well, really, it's my pleasure to be here with you today to really celebrate the beginning of this journey together. You see, this is convocation, as we call it, and it's one of my favorite times in university life because Our teams at IE and Brown spend a great portion of a year finding you. And it's just a thrill to see you go from paper, at least for me, I have not met many of you or any of you, to the real version. And it is stellar, really stellar. I'm in awe of this cohort. It's really an amazing group of people. So today I want to be the first one to officially, on behalf of Brown, congratulate you on this incredible milestone of being here today. And I thought I'd tell you just a little bit about our school. Don't worry, it's not going to be long. The mission of the School of Professional Studies at Brown is to create programs that empower learners to transform themselves, their careers, and the organizations that they work for. We think that by doing so, we're going to change the world for the better. It's a really big mission. But guess what? This program, the IE Brown Executive MBA, really fulfills that mission, I am convinced. We couldn't be more proud of our partnership with IE. And despite the real competition that Lee is put out here between our weathers and our institutions, in reality, what I hope you see is that our relationship with IE really has transformed into a friendship of colleagues, and that even though we have two different institutions with very different approaches to education, come together, really you feel one beating heart that is here in service of you. And that's really what unites us, is absolute passion for delivering the most incredible experience that you can have together. That's why we are in this program. So over the next 15 months or so, you are going to learn and refine all of your skills. The next best you will find that next best you. You will learn business skills, for sure. You will learn to make money, as your song, all of them were singing yesterday. Yes, absolutely. It's so interesting because I was thinking about last year, that same exercise, that incredible musical exercise, and that's not the same words, but the basic idea also was part of the song. So it's very clear that that is in the minds of, no surprise, an executive MBA audience is to make money. So no doubt you will learn that for sure. But what I'm really excited about is that you're going to learn a lot more than that. I really can assure you. The reason you're going to learn a lot more than that is because of the unique construction of this program. Yes, you've been hearing Brendan and all of the teams at IE and Brown talk about the interdisciplinary nature of this program, but I want to unpack it just a little bit with you today. So in this curriculum of the two institutions, we're bringing together multiple disciplines. We look far and wide across the university to recruit economists, people from sociology department, from humanities, from climate change, all of that, as well as art, as that beautiful exercise, musical exercise you participated in yesterday showed. So why we put all of these perspectives together is because we think that it's really important to develop your critical thinking skills. Not that you don't have them, of course you do, you wouldn't be here if you didn't. But to really come to a program like this, to learn to look at business problems, not just from the MBA perspective, which might lead you to think about profitability, supply chain, whatever it is the business construct is, but that you take an even bigger step back to think about what are the implications of that decision, maybe on sustainability or the planet. How might your decision shape or interact with the community that your business operates in, or communities? All of those questions, ultimately thinking also about, do you have a responsibility to your employees' well-being? I mean, it's a really big question. I went to Wharton many, many years ago for my MBA, and I can tell you that it was phenomenal. I got my MBA in finance. Of course, I'm hardcore, so I was like, give me the hardest one that you can find. I went through it for 2 years. An amazing program. But now that I step back and really see what our graduates get from having that exposure to the liberal arts and really some of these deeper thinking courses that force you to step back and look at the interconnections, it's really, really powerful. And what we find over and over is that maybe not in the moment, but several years after they leave a program like this, sometimes is those experiences that you didn't think you were going to get, the ones that leave you with the biggest changes. So you'll go to Cape Town and just wait till you go, come back, and we can have that conversation about how that experience will move you and transform you into better leaders. So getting through all of that, as Lee has mentioned, is going to be hard work, for sure. You're going to have some peaks, you're going to have valleys, hopefully many more peaks than valleys, but it's going to require that you dig in and you stay in it because it's worthwhile. I can really assure you that if you stick with it, it will be very, very worth your while. And if I end with maybe a little bit of advice, because of course here we are in a mic, and why not? It's great. My advice would be that you take curiosity, that you build your network using curiosity as your main defining value. And what does that mean? So what that means is that by now, I know you probably have found your people. You found those people that you just maybe are attracted to because you're the same type, you can see the world differently, maybe you come from the same part of the world. Excellent, that's great. We want to find those people that are comfortable and people that you want to be with because they resemble something familiar. But what I want you to think about is staying curious when you're hearing a comment from a colleague here or from a peer student or a faculty member or even a staff member, and they're saying something that doesn't sit with you or that makes you curious or just, annoys you. Really, that could happen, believe it or not. And when you hear that, to just stay open, just dig a little deeper and try to listen even harder, even though you may want to do the opposite, quite the opposite. Because I think in doing so, you might find that that's the next best person, or that's going to be the person that will carry you throughout the program or will become your lifelong friend. Maybe that won't happen. Maybe that's just too much that will happen. But at minimum, that person or that perspective will really expand and illuminate your life throughout the program and beyond. And that's what I really want and hope for you, is to keep curiosity at the center of what you're doing and learning while you're here in the program. So with all of that, I will say you might be still sitting there with a bit of a mix between excitement, maybe a little bit of fear, what have I gotten myself into? All of that can be okay together. But what I do hope you feel is ready. I hope you feel ready because I know you're ready. You wouldn't be here if you weren't ready. Even if it took suspending disbelief, whatever it took, you got yourself from where you were to this chair. So you're all ready. And I am convinced that we will see miracles happen in the next 15 months coming from each and every one of you. So with that, I will say, stay the course, dig deep, build your network with intention, and just know that all of us here at IE and Brown are here together for you. We'll be cheering you on, and certainly here to lend a hand anytime you need. So remember that, and congratulations again.
Thank you, Sandra, for the great advice to place curiosity at the center of their learning journey. And I'm sure they're all very eager to go to Brown in June, right? And get to know your wonderful university and the campus and all the faculty members. So our next speaker is part of the IE team. One of the missions and the main values of IE is entrepreneurship. So when I asked him to define himself, I thought it was a perfect match. He defines himself as an entrepreneur in academia. So please welcome Borja Alonso de Linaje, who's the academic director of IE in this program. So welcome, Borja.
Well, thank you, Patricia. Welcome. I think it's not going to be the last time you hear this word these days. Welcome to Madrid, welcome to Spain, welcome to IE Campus, and welcome to the IE Brown program. As Patricia was said, my field is entrepreneurship, so I would like to connect a little bit these words with this field, okay? And to do that, I will invite you to travel a little bit back and get back to the 16th and 17th century. At this moment, some first expeditions of sailors were trying with small boats of wood trying to capture whales in the icy waters in the oceans. It was really risky. But you can imagine that whales at this time were like living treasures, no? Thousands of kilograms of meat, bones to produce tools, fat to produce and to convert that into oil, fuel. Really, really, really important things. But those expeditions were really risky and costly. I mean, most of them never get a whale, never capture a whale, and some of them will never get back. You know? The investors and the sponsors of the time asked themselves how we can divide the enormous benefits of capturing a whale among all the losses of getting empty to the harbor. You know? So this same question is the one that today's investors in startups, in ventures, ask to themselves. How we can divide the enormous benefits of being part of a unicorn, which is a slightly different animal, a little bit more magic than whales, no? Among all the losses of all the startups that will never disappear, most of them. So in this story, you can easily connect, and I don't want to make a quiz, but it's easy, no? What represent the whales? Well, probably the ventures, the opportunities, the things that are there in the markets and business. The whalers, the investors, the people trying to be part of these opportunities. And what about the oceans? What about the icy waters? What are the markets? The context, which is changing with different winds, with high waves, uncertainty. You know? I would like to take the definition of a startup. It's not the moment for definitions, but I like this word from Eric Rice saying that startup is people trying to produce services and products under conditions of extreme uncertainty. Now, if I ask you to hear again this, people doing products and services under conditions of extreme uncertainty, I mean, this is not limiting the size, the resources, the age of the organization. It's talking about the operation conditions of extreme uncertainty. And I guess that we all work and we all are developing our professional careers under conditions of a lot of uncertainty, I guess. No? And uncertainty is coming from different avenues today. I mean, it's getting faster and with higher impact. Technology disruptions, massive demographic changes, geopolitical conflicts, natural disasters. We all are surrounded about a lot of uncertainty. So we need to understand how to navigate this uncertainty. No? And this is affecting all of us. Just to give you a number, more than a half of the companies traded in the S&P 500 have disappeared in the last 50 years. Now, as we go out to the 50s, to the mid-50s, the average lifespan organization trading in this same index was like 60 years. Now it's less than 20 years. So uncertainty is affecting all of us. Not only small startups doing something in a garage, it's affecting all type of organizations. And we know that. And this is why we cannot deliver in this type of program just content. Content will be outdated. We need to enhance the way we think, the way we approach things. And we need to develop the skill set and the mindset necessary to navigate these waves, no? These oceans with a lot of uncertainty. Business, well, is changing very fast. We don't know how the future will be. Actually, please let me know if a professor is saying to you during the program how the future will be. Okay, because then we have a problem. But what we know is the future is not going to mirror the present. It's going to be in constant evolution. And so we need to proactively equip ourselves, no, to understand how to do that. And I guess that this is one of the reasons why you are here at this program, right? The sciences of business, the sciences of management, I would say the sciences of technology and traditional MBAs offer really good answers to what we do in business and how we do things in business, how we need to improve, how we need to do things. But if we want to understand the why we do things, now we have to bring more human thought and human reflection to that. No? And this is why, as Sandra was saying before, we think that we need to bring something else to this type of program. And this all the aspects related to social sciences. So this is a unique approach in terms of joining all the things related to business plus social sciences. And this is a unique approach in that sense. And I guess it will make a lot of sense during the journey. as part of the academic team, in order to make it possible, in order to make a transformative journey for you, we know that we have to play with 3 key ingredients. The first ingredient has to do with the context, okay? As Sandra was saying, and Lee, we're 2 academic institutions, 2 top academic institutions, joining forces and bringing this global program for you. Second ingredient has to do with the content and with the faculty. During the program, you will meet top professors, industry experts that are keen to share with you insight, expertise, information. So my invitation to you is ask them, be very curious, be together, create kind of a network, not only with you, with the classmates, but also with them. It's gonna be super interesting. Now the content is divided, I'm not gonna go into detail, but the content is structured into 4 pillars. We need to sharpen your knowledge on business, develop this business acumen, and develop this mindset, this analytical mindset, going through different disciplines. Second, leadership. We need to understand how to realize the full potential of the people you work with, developing the skills to understand how to motivate teams, how to promote diversity and inclusion among the teams. Foresight, planning, understand the trends, the things that are changing, the things that are affecting, these oceans, these transformations, and apply critical thinking to that, and understand how to structure a strategic planning, a strategic vision. And the last, understand the power of business as a force for do things for the good, to address the global challenges. Sometimes we say organizations and business as affecting negatively the context, and it might be, but we need to understand how we can do things for the good together, how we can apply business and management in order to address the global challenges. But nothing of these 2 first ingredients, the context, faculty, and content, will make any sense if we don't have the 3rd ingredient. What is the 3rd ingredient? What could be the 3rd ingredient? You, top musicians, top experts in music, with some room of improvement, taking the words of someone before. But this is a collaborative program. Patricia said yesterday perfectly well. This is not a program that you can do it alone. This is about going with your classmates, with your peers, learning from the others, sharing. I mean, group work and collaboration and class discussion is at the heart of the learning process. So you need to share. And let me use these last words as an invitation for you to share, to open yourself, to be ready to learn from others and others learning from you. And sometimes when we do that, and this is very human, there is a risk. When you open yourself, there's a risk on that, and you have fears, and you don't want to fail, and you want to say bad things. That's pretty normal. But this is an academic context, and this is a good place to try things, to fail sometimes, not from an academic perspective, but to fail, to commit some errors. I can imagine going back to the sailors, going to these waters with a lot of risk, say, hey, you can fail. No, you can't fail there. No. But here you can do that. I'm just taking the words of James Cameron, the filmmaker of movies like Titanic, Terminator, some others, Avatar. He said that in innovation, and I guess that also in this type of context, failure is an option, but fear is not. So don't fear to share, don't fear to fail in a sense, and the most important thing, enjoy. Enjoy a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Borja, for your advice. I think, if we want to summarize, the most important is to enjoy the journey, right? And he was describing kind of the pillars of how we organize our curriculum and the program. And our main objective is to develop reflective leaders, right? So that's part of what you'd be and part of your journey to really become reflective and understand how these sciences, with these critical thinking skills that you're going to obtain, are going to help you. You obviously, improve in that journey, but especially become very reflective of everything that is happening around the world. So now we want to talk about you, right? What is the class that is here? You know, kind of like your backgrounds and profiles. And our next speaker, I think, doesn't really need an introduction because all of you know her. I asked her for a description, but I'm going to use my own one because I think it's someone that's very passionate about people, right? And that passion about people is what makes her job, her day-to-day, talking to all of you and actually recruiting, you know, the wonderful class we have with us here today. So please let me introduce you Jessica Alford, who's the Senior Manager for Admissions. To welcome the class.
All right. Lovely to see you guys today. It's nice to see you all in person. Spent more or less a year talking to a lot of you. And without further ado, I'm going to share some quick details about you guys. So your class profile. And I think yesterday you guys already started to get to know each other quite a lot, but hopefully I'm going to give you some new data points to deal with. So welcome. You guys are a group of 39 professionals who have joined us today. And I have to say, every year I'm always surprised by the breakdown of the diversity, and I'll talk about diversity in a couple different ways. But you're covering 18 nationalities. That's about half of you are coming from different backgrounds, different areas that you've grown up in, and a couple of you are also sharing these dual nationalities as well. Some homework, I would say by the end of the week, you should know where all these flags are. Thinking about where you guys are broken up. And so I get a lot of these questions, especially, you know, throughout the year, you're asking about diversity, where you guys are based. And so kind of going back, you know, 18 nationalities, a lot of you are based in the US, but I want you to remember that despite kind of being based in the US, you guys are across the US. But also you're coming from a lot of different experiences, a lot of different industries that we'll dive into. And then you can see that you're also gonna have colleagues that are based all over the world. And I would say lean into that. Think about questioning your assumptions when you're thinking about who you're talking to and the types of conversations that you guys are starting to bring up as you go through the course. Thinking about where you guys have studied in the past, this is just a little bit of a snapshot. Again, lots of diversity in Europe, across the world, also across the US. But this is your past educational experience. We're gonna talk a little bit about something that you're also gonna find in the classroom. Something that I haven't seen in my almost 7 years here at IE, 56% of the class is represented by women. Just to give you guys a little bit of a data point related to that, I would say on average, a lot of schools tend to only have 30% of women represented, especially within the executive MBA cohort. So we're starting to see, you know, we've done a lot of work across the board, and I would say IE, I would say Brown as well, you know, we're always trying to have that gender parity, and this year it was a very pleasant surprise to kind of see the strong representation of women in the classroom. And I can say that your backgrounds are very strong as well. So it's gonna be a lot of interesting conversations that you guys bring out here. Also, 42 years of age, I would say, is the average. I always like to say there's a spectrum. And then 16 years of experience. You guys are one of our most senior cohorts, basically. And I would say also one of the most senior when it comes to our institution here at IE. So remember that. Push back on those professors, because they're also really interested to know your insights, to hear what you have to bring to the table. They learn a lot from you guys as much as you're going to learn from them, but also, of course, amongst each other. Thinking about the sectors, and this is something really interesting. So you'll see, oh, these percentages are quite small. The highest this year, I would say, represented is energy and utilities, so people coming from different backgrounds, oil and gas. I mean, you'll start to kind of see the different companies that are represented. But I would say this isn't even 50% of the class. So I didn't want to have a whole list of the different industries that were being covered here, but this is also representative of the type of diversity that you guys are bringing to the table. So also remember that. And also this is looking at where you guys are currently working. A lot of you have a lot of different experiences where you've jumped from different industries, where you've started off somewhere and now you're looking to go somewhere new. So remember that. Dive into each other's LinkedIn, start to have that information, and when you're having these networking experience, think about, okay, where am I looking to go and who can I go ahead and tap into within, you know, this network? Because at the end of the day, you guys are 39 people who are gonna get to know each other very well within the next 15 months. And then finally thinking about the companies that you guys are coming from. Here we have some big names, but we also have some startups that are also represented in the classroom. A lot of you are coming from industries that have been severely impacted by what's going on when we're thinking about, you know, energy, where things are going in the future with technology. We've seen a lot of different, I would say, news bites that have been coming up and kind of making people question their business models. And so I thought it was interesting to also bring forward kind of where you guys are coming from in that representation. And with that, I would say, I just wanted to give you guys a snapshot. You guys have already started to learn quite a lot about each other. But remember, 15 months will go by very fast. So make the most of it. And I also have to say, it's been a pleasure getting to know you throughout the admissions process. Do not be a stranger. I will also tap into you guys in the future because you guys will soon be ambassadors and alumni for us. And so please remember that. And thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you, Jessica. Wow, what an impressive class. I think some of us are jealous, and as James said, he would do it all over again. Hope you still think that. So we're gonna actually take 10 minutes because we're gonna go into another session now, which is the alumni panel. We have 4 alumni, actually we have 5 alumni that have come back today to be with you and share their experiences. So one of my favorite sessions, I'm not biased, but I wanna thank you, thank everyone. I do think, at least an AI Brown is the first cohort with more female representation, and probably most of our programs here at the school, so congratulations. I do think it's a major achievement. Welcome to our institutions, welcome to our program, and I hope you're ready for your journey. Thank you very much. So you can take a few minutes if you want to, use the restrooms or just, stand up. We're going to change the setup of the room and be back in 10 minutes. A ver esto. Hola, hola. Do you all hear me? Welcome back. So I think I said it before, but I will say it again. This is my favorite part. Now that no one listens to me, this is my favorite part. First of all, because I get to welcome back to our institutions wonderful alumni that I really miss and have been pivotal parts of the program. So happy to have you here. And I think it's a great way of you to actually network and meet people from other classes. And also, obviously, talk to the people that have been there before you, right? That actually, I can tell you a lot, and we can all tell you a lot because we have a lot of experience, and we have been here for a very long time, but they're the ones that have been in your shoes. So who better than them to actually share with you, their insights and their wisdom. So anyway, let me introduce you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you briefly, and then I'm going to ask you to actually introduce yourself properly to the class. So I'll just go in order from left to right. We have James Lamont. Welcome. He's the Director of Strategic Partnerships in Financial Times Group, class of 2021. Ana Maria Angarita, Program Lead at Booksbridge, based in Zurich, and class of 2024.
Yes.
So recent graduate. Paula Navarro, Compliance Director of PTA, class of 2013. Wonderful to have you back. And then we have Javier Lopez Belmonte, CFO and Vice President of Rovi Pharmaceutical Laboratory, class of 2017. Okay, so maybe to change the order, if you can start introducing kind of yourselves to the class, and Javier, you can start.
Right.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, well, I'm very excited to be here. Thank you, Patricia, for inviting me to share my thoughts and my views. We're saying that we were very refreshed by listening to the different professors. So my name is Javier Lopez Belmonte. I'm by academic background, I have a degree in business and finance. So that was some years ago, basically. Just to leave it there. From a professional background, although I've been working in the pharmaceutical field all my life. Although after my degree, I went to work to London to the city for a year for a Spanish bank there. And then I moved to the south of England, where I started my career in pharmaceuticals. But then I got back to Madrid, where I've been working in Rovi, this company, for the last 25 years. So it's already quite a long experience there. I must say that the company where I work for is a public company, but with a family origin. So basically, my grandfather founded the company back in the 40s, and I had the privilege to work with one of my brother, and we did an IPO back in 2007. So the company right now is floated in the Spanish Stock Exchange, and since then we've been very successful, I must say, and I'm very proud of that we've been the most successful IPO since the last 20 years in Spain. So right now we are among the 35 largest companies within Spain, and we are part of the IBEX 35 index. No? So as Patricia said before, I'm acting as a Chief Financial Officer in the company. So meaning that I meet regularly analysts, investors, different stakeholders like shareholders and so on and so forth. And I also very, very engaged on the industrial industrial operations of the company. So having said that, my background was really, I would say, more focused on finance. So that's one of the reasons I think I joined the program, because I really wanted to have this program with this executive MBA, which was not focused at all on finance, but rather on other part of the other things. No? And I think the humanities part was the really appealing thing for me. And my experience was great. No? I think that's why I'm here. No? Because an ambassador of the program wherever I go. So I really love the experience. I guess we have later on time to talk about the different residential periods, which I believe they are the most thrilling parts. So for sure, to visit together and to share, all the experience and be for a couple of weeks, just focus only on the course. I think that's the most valuable part. But again, I guess that we have later time to share more experience. So welcome, and hope you enjoy a lot these the next 15 months. No?
Thank you, Javier. Paula?
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Paula Navarro. I was in cohort 2, so it was long time ago. Well, I'm originally from Colombia. I worked there for many years. Then I've always worked in telecommunications sector, worked with Telefónica. Then they transferred me to Spain. And I used to work in procurement most of the time, integrating new companies into Telefónica, when Telefónica used to buy companies. And so I worked there for maybe 20 years, and moving from different roles. Then I helped creating a Telefónica compliance department. And last year, in a crazy move, I decided to leave Telefónica for a new opportunity that they offer me in an American company. So now I'm the compliance director in this company, implementing the different compliance programs across the different countries where they are based. So basically, this is my background. I studied government and international relations. And then I make this amazing executive MBA. I remember being like you many years ago, but today I just got the feeling again of having lots of expectations and a bit of fear, of stress of how I was going to manage all that. But I think it's been one of the best experiences that I've done so far.
Thank you, Paula. Ana Maria?
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Ana Maria. I'm very excited to be here. I cannot believe it's been 2 years since I was in your shoes. I feel that time goes by so quickly, and I am honored, to be sharing this panel today. I'm originally from Colombia, but I've been living in Switzerland for almost 20 years now. My background is in international cooperation. I've had the chance to develop a whole career in this arena by designing and implementing projects that have a social and economic impact. And I have been able to do this by collaborating with international organizations like the UN, the World Bank, the OEAS, Organization of American States, international NGOs and governments. And I feel that I got also to a point in my career where I felt that I really wanted to feel that I was having an impact with my work, and I was able to do that I would say during the last 7 years, where I decided to become a social entrepreneur, and I launched my own startup that is called Capacity. And it is an incubator for people with refugee and migrant background who want to either launch a business or an NGO or are seeking for a job. And so the ultimate goal is really to help this group of people to integrate in society and to add value to the Swiss society. And more recently, I decided to kind of like starting to continue to broaden my world, and I started working for a social enterprise also in Switzerland called Bookbridge, and over there I offer leadership programs where we bring together social entrepreneurs and corporates and they tackle world challenges. So I decided to do this MBA because throughout my career, I've had the chance to work on many projects, and I was exposed to many sectors at the same time. But I felt that I was falling short in some of those areas, and at the same time I realized of my potential, my new interests, and that's why when I found this program, I said to myself that it resonated quite, loud in my head, and I decided to apply and went through this journey that was completely transformational. And I feel that up to this, up until today, I continue to feel the impact that this program has had in my life. So I'm happy to share more details as the discussion goes.
Great. James.
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm James. I'm from the Financial Times. On the theme of curiosity, I saw that there's somebody here from the New York Times. So could the other journalist in the room please make themselves known? Nice to see you. So congratulations on signing up for this program. It is, as all my fellow alumni have said, it's a fantastic, fantastic program. It's truly transformational in many profound and subtle ways, and like everybody else, I remember day one or day two. I remember that music activity. I remember sitting here feeling kind of excited but apprehensive, kind of room full of people I didn't know but who I was going to get to know really, really, really well over the coming months. And it's a fantastic thing you've embarked on, and I know you're going to learn lots. And you're going to find out new things, although you already know a lot of things in your profession. You're going to find out new things, and it's going to be truly revelatory for you. But I'm not sure you know that on day one or two. There's a sort of magic weave to the program through the, let me remember, 28 modules, 41 deliverables that somehow, and my brother's in education, and he says with the learners in his classes, the souffle rises through the year, through the 15 months. And in your case, the souffle will rise. But it is that magic weave and interconnectedness of all the different modules you're going to do, which are not always obvious, but by the end of it, have kind of miraculously done something to you, which is why I say it's transformational. I would like to just give a quick shout out to the program managers, Patricia, Naomi, and their team. They are best in class.
Yes.
You're best in class, but they're really best in class.
Yes.
And they support you throughout. They're highly responsive, and they embody lots of the qualities that the I.E. Brown ethos has in terms of care, quality, and, as I said, responsiveness. They always have your back, and that is fantastic. So as for me, I've been a journalist all my career. I'm now on the board of the Financial Times, and I'm responsible for areas like technology, data, education, luxury, and our relationship with our owner, which is a company in Tokyo in Japan called Nikkei. I've been very fortunate to have a very global career. I've worked in the Middle East and South Asia and Africa and Europe. I haven't worked in the US, which was part of the reason why I wanted to join a EMBA program that had a lot of Americans in it, so I could sort of feel that I had worked. I could work in the US. And you know something? It worked. I now have lots of friends all over the US who are like my best buddies and who communicate with me on WhatsApp all the time, every day. So I feel like I'm in that kind of, I'm there, I've done it. I've done, in my career, I've sort of filled through the EMBA that kind of, that US ambition. And the reason that I did the EMBA was I've been a journalist reporting, editing through my career. And I got to a sort of pivot point in 2020 where I was going to move from being purely editorial to being something else, which was to go into kind of executive management. So not editorial management, but kind of running the business. And I think as a journalist, I wasn't really equipped to do that. I didn't have the skills. I didn't have the board skills. Didn't have the governance skills. Didn't have some of the technical skills. Didn't have the leadership skills. But the EMBA definitely equipped me with that, so that there was sort of before journalist and after, which was sort of complete manager, leader, understanding some of the things that you had to do in business to lead a business. And in my case, in a newspaper, as my friend from the New York Times will attest, managing journalists or newspapers or media or digital transformation is super, super difficult. And this EMBA really equipped me for some of the challenges that I have today. So congratulations. I'm kind of envious that you're on day 1 or 2 because you've got the most fantastic experience ahead of you.
Wonderful. So we actually have another alum in the crowd. I'm sorry, Gabby, but I'm going. And I think it's fair, to give her also a moment to introduce yourself. And thank you for being here, by the way.
I was lucky enough to be in Ana Maria's cohort as well, so it's my pleasure and joy to be here. Patricia saw me pushing the cart of my children in her neighborhood and said, please join. Oh, thank you. But did I need it? Or
It will help you a little bit.
Okay, thank you. Just briefly, I decided to join the IE MBA program because of the link between Brown and IE, as well as the opportunity to have exposure to the global business environment and the opportunity to potentially move my family to Spain. And so I was successful in doing that. My family lives here now. I was able to, through the program, secure an opportunity to work with Bain Consulting here. So I had spent about a decade in retail finance and then was able to parlay that through the program into a PE, private equity position at Bain Consulting here. So that's what I do. Before all of that, my first master's degree is in social work. So I'm a social worker. I was a clinician. I saw individual therapy patients, and then I worked in policy and research and had some publications, and I thought maybe I'd go into academia, and then took kind of a hard right turn into retail finance. So just like Ana Maria said, this program that brings together the background of, yes, liberal arts, but also kind of a perspective on what is business and what can it be, as well as the skills that you need to pursue the next level within your business career, really spoke to me in a unique way. So I'm happy to be here. I was promised I didn't have to work while I was here. So I'm going to turn this off now.
See, they keep coming back, and we make them work, and they actually do it. So Gabby was actually successful because she had, a project or, a vision to stay in Madrid, and she actually did. And her kids go to a school almost next door to my house. So I do love my brownies. And the other day I was driving, and how cool is this? And I was talking to some people in her class. I started screaming through the window, "Gabby, you're coming to the opening!" And that's why she's here. And I'm really happy you were able to make it. So anyway, I think through these introductions, which just basically amaze me how diverse backgrounds and they actually most of them didn't know each other. Okay, to be fair, because they're from different classes, but you can see how this is a representation of the diversity, not from obviously even nationality, but from background, right, of industry and type of positions, and this is also a clear representation of your class, right, and that's something you're going to see, and I think that's probably what they tell you is one of the values, the main values of the classroom. So just to get into some comments, and I'm gonna just throw some questions, but then please interact whenever you want, and then we'll go to Q&A, so you can ask them whatever you want. And they also they're gonna stay through lunch, so you have opportunities to obviously talk to them and use this time. And obviously you have their LinkedIn profiles, and if you wanna ever reach to them, and they can help you with anything. So I think maybe as a starting point, and maybe we're going directly to the core, but if I ask you, to just give them maybe an overview of the main insight and learnings you took from the program. I don't know if any of you want to jump in. I don't know. Anyone?
I can go.
Paula? Okay.
I think the main thing that you get out from the program, now that I've graduated many years ago, I think it's adaptability. One of those, I think, and always, and you will see this, you will start analyzing things from a different point of view. Sometimes I was working back then in procurement, and of course savings and number was the most important thing. But then when you were trying to make the new presentation, decision, changes in the model, integrated in a new company that was in a completely different country, you start asking yourself different questions, how this will impact the way they're doing things. Can I change this a little bit better? Just to think beyond the numbers, beyond the importance or the main thing that was integrate that company as quickly as possible so we can get savings as quickly as possible. So you will start thinking in a different way, and adaptability is because you learn to adapt to a lot of things. Like while you're in the program, there are diversity of cultures, the way people work, different personalities, time zones, accents, everything. You need to adapt to everything, and you will see how all these will have an impact in everything in your life, how you start to adapt and see things from a different point of view, that you say, okay, I can do this, it's not that difficult, I can do it. And I think I always say this, one of the main courses that impacted me, I don't know if you will have it or not, I'm sure you have something new and better. It was a course on slavery. And it was amazing because that at first we were like, we don't really know what this is, what's the purpose of this. It was in Brown, and then the way the teacher just moved everything at the end, it was like, make sure, like, be aware of whatever you're deciding today, be aware of the things you're analyzing today, because they could have an impact in the future. Like this back then, it was a normal business. It was something that the work used to live like that, you know, it was established. It has a P&L, it has everything. And now we are still, it's difficult to have it today. It's just think that we went through that as humanity, it's kind of horrible, but it's like at the end, it was like always try to think, put everything from different perspective and just understand the impact, not only the financial immediate impact that you'll have, which is important. We all have works and we all are measuring certain KPIs that we need to comply with, but there are other impacts that you always need to take into account, and that's what we'll just try to make decisions in an ethic and moral way. So I think that's right.
Yes, so I want to make reference to the class that you just mentioned, that is the shared history of slavery and capitalism that I'm sure you are going to take.
They're starting now.
Oh, yes. So that one was a class that was eye-opening, and definitely, in my opinion, it provides context to the rest of the program. And it will help everyone with what you just described, you know, how to make ethical decisions, what things you need to think about, you know, take the time to make important decisions and so on. But going back to your question, Patricia, for me personally, I think one of the main learnings is to keep an entrepreneurial mindset at work. It doesn't matter if you don't work for a startup. It doesn't matter how big or small the company that you work for is. But I feel that by keeping an open mindset, a flexible, a learning mindset, I think that's a key ingredient to not only succeed in your own roles, but also to contribute to the success of the company that you work for. So I think that was a powerful takeaway for me. And at the same time, I feel that after this program, I just see things differently. I feel that now I've become more interested in other sectors. Now I'm seeing myself maybe applying to jobs that I wouldn't have considered before. And at the same time, I am more open to change, to uncertainty at work, and make, you know, difficult decisions in fast-paced environments. So I think you will gain a lot of perspective from, you know, the different courses, for sure. Yeah.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I mean, one of the learnings I had was just how much you can do. I mean, all of you are doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to operate at a sort of superhuman level. All of you are doing jobs, and you're going to do learning on top of those jobs. And the stretchiness that you will find, these resources that you have that you don't know you have, become apparent because you've got these, demanding learning schedule plus your day job. And you've got to find hours, and you've got to find prioritization, and you've got to find the time, to do this. And it's like drinking from a fire hose. I mean, you've got to find out a way to do that, and you all can and will. And that's what I discovered. Some of the most important things. I mean, you referenced the transatlantic slavery trade, but actually for me, which is an excellent module. But for me, it was some of the technical aspects. So I'm going to pivot the other way and tell you that financial accounting and the M&A class by Brad Gibbs at Brown and Marco Trombetta on financial accounting, for me was absolutely fantastic. And there are lots of bits of the EMBA that I use as touchstones every day in my work now, because you can apply it directly. And I guess the beauty of working and studying at the same time is that you can apply what you've learned in class in the morning, in the afternoon in work. And it's like live fire. You're in a live fire exercise. You can do it, literally. And that transmission from classroom to your workplace is instant. And I remember with something like communities of work, I literally would learn something, and this was more of the kind of HR module. I'd learn something in the morning, and then I would try it out on the HR director in the afternoon. And she was probably thinking, "Oh my God, he's doing an MBA. How tedious." But it was really good. But back to financial accounting and the
Which
M&A.
I'm happy you brought it up because it seems yesterday I
feel
got a
your pain.
feeling of fear.
I feel your pain. You're doing that now. But the M&A bit at Brown. I mean, I didn't realize then, but a few years later, a lot of my job would be buying companies or being on the boards of startups and valuing companies and going through that process with our corporate development team back in London. And I'm using that like every week now. And then I might have thought, well, I'm more interested in the liberal arts stuff. I'm interested in the humanities stuff. I'm a journalist. I like that stuff. I like, the vision, purpose, value, that thing. But actually, it was the technical stuff that for me has been really, really valuable because it strengthened something that I hadn't really done so much of before.
That's funny because my father used to ask me the same question. No, when I was there, every now and then he sit down with me and said, "What have you learned? No? What have you learned?" and he was, I guess, he was waiting for some sort of technical concepts or whatever. And I was always saying to him, I mean, this is about, and that's my view, no? This is about personal growth, no? Personal development. So you will be, as James saying, you have plenty of deadlines, plenty of things, as you've been told today. You have to listen to all your teammates and work and classmates. So I think you have to stretch yourself to be very resilient. And then this is something that you then, after a few years, you become yourself aware of the learning period and the learning curve that you've been facing on the program. No? So it's not that for me, it wasn't that about technical concepts or any specific subjects. By the way, they are great. But the overall work with their colleagues and how you have to organize yourself to be sure that you can cope with everything, no? Which is a lot. And then you will find out that you will overcome all the deadlines, you will overcome all the difficulties, and that make yourself more self-assured, no? Self-assured that you can do this and much more, no? And I think that is the best lesson from the course. No?
So Javier, maybe take your point of very actually direct application of teamwork, which we've heard a lot of comments, and we've been transmitting the idea since yesterday that they need each other, that this is a cohort experience. Lee was talking about even conflict, possibility and everything. Maybe you all want to share a little bit about your teams, your teamwork. How did you organize yourself? How did you survive, right? Through the different aspects in your life, since you had to manage a lot of it. Maybe anyone want to take that part and discuss any of that? Give any insights or advice to them?
I guess as a first reaction, and maybe I take time to continue to reflect on the question. I would say that one of the most important things is from the very beginning, be open about your working style. Set your own expectations. What do you want the work dynamic to be? Decide on what channel you're all going to communicate. You can perhaps assign roles, who's going to be the primary person responsible for this, and maybe who's going to be the supporting person. But overall, be honest with your teammates, and just like you, they are very busy at work. You don't know what's going on in their private lives and what other challenges they might be facing. So just be honest about your personal circumstances, and I feel that by doing that, you will not only become closer to your team, that will not only help you to bond, but also create trust, and it will make your lives much, much easier. Because as we've been mentioning, and everybody has been mentioned, there are going to be peaks of stress, where you're going to be very busy. There are going to be many deliverables. So I would say be honest is not only the responsible, but the decent thing to do with your teammates. Yeah.
Anyone else?
I could give 3 suggestions. So first is, and please feel free to disregard this. So something that I didn't do, which I wish I had done, was write more about what I know, what you know. So rather than going on a journey of discovery to find out about the Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund or something, try to apply it to what you do as executives already, or the industry that you know, and go deeper into your own industries. At the same time, learning from your team members, from their experiences. But I kind of wish I'd written more about the media. I seem to write a lot about every other industry, but not necessarily my own. And in retrospect, I wish I'd gone deeper into my own. The second thing is that there are, as I said, 41 deliverables. It's like jumping over hurdles. You're in a long steeplechase, and you've just got to keep going. And you might not always do your best work, but just keep going. Yeah. Don't try and don't focus on super hyper excellence. This is an endurance course where you just have to keep going and just do the deliverable, forget about it, move on. And then finally, teamwork. This is a lot about operating in teams, as we have to do in our workplaces as well. And everyone's from somewhere different. Everyone has different stresses and strains. And working out how the teams work is super, super important. It's not easy. And you all have different day responsibilities with your job. Some of you might be lucky enough to be on a sabbatical and not have to work so hard. But other people will be having to work really, really hard during the day. So getting that kind of empathy and sympathy with your team members, so that you understand how you can get the best out of a team without getting impatient or frustrated, or without falling down, is really, really important. So much of this is about you in the room and about the teamwork that you do together and learning from each other, because you all have extremely valuable experiences that are in some ways even more interesting than what the professors can tell you. And it's trying to get that in your little team projects and learn from the other people. And then you can apply that directly back at work, where you're working in teams. And what we're all trying to do in business is trying to execute, is trying to have an idea and execute. And that's what you're going to be doing over the next 15 months, is getting to better execution, working with a team of complete strangers in different time zones, different backgrounds. And if you can do that, doing it at work is a cakewalk.
Yeah, in addition to that, as James is saying, I think you're going to be very stressed because of, the work, the deliverables, even the families, because you have to balance everything a little bit. So you have to be focused on enjoying the program. I mean, this is about yourself. and this is about learning. So teamwork is going to be there for sure, but then you have to realize that you have to develop yourself. I mean, if your teammates, you believe that they don't devote the time that they need, okay, that's their fault. That's their problem. It's not yours, no? So don't focus on them, but rather focus on learning yourself, because you're going to be very stressed. And then what we experience, at least in my cohort, no, is that sometimes, as you are so stressed, you forget that this is about yourself learning. So, and again, there are a lot of subjects, deliverables. Nothing has to be perfect, and you need to keep having fun, no? Which at the end of the day, you are here because you choose yourself to be here. Nobody forced you to be in the course.
Hopefully, right? Hopefully.
No, hopefully, I mean, that's... And at the end of the day, you have to remember that to you, no? That you're here because you choose to be here. And it doesn't matter what the rest of the team do, you have to focus on that you are learning here and that you are enjoying. And if you started to be too stressed out and if you believe that others are not contributing as much as you think, you could be losing the point and losing the real edge, no, of the course.
In my case, I was very lucky with my teams. We work very well, but I think it's funny because I think one of the things that work in both of my teams, we had two back then, I don't know here right now how it is, but we have this agenda for every meeting, like normally it was on weekends, so we will decide who will be leading which of the deliverables, and of course we all have to pitch in, but there was one responsible for it. So we have this agenda like, okay, we're going to go through this one, but we always leave 10 or 15 minutes for gossip and jokes. So it was mainly, it was what is going up with our lives, something happened funny that has happened that week, and we were just gossiping and joking and making fun of whatever things, or even talking about TV shows that none of us have time to watch, but we were recommending, and it was great because it get a different atmosphere among us, and we just discussed, because of course you need to be like really focused on the different things you need to deliver, and you need to trust your team, but this create a bond that it was different, and we also were able to feel when one of us was actually struggling with something, that it was not, sometimes it's not as easy to see when you are just going through whatever you're supposed to go through. So we realized, okay, I don't know, Chris was not feeling very well today, let's just send a quick text to see if he needs help with anything or not. So for us, it was a good dynamic. It's an advice if you want. It's just that.
So
I have one more.
go ahead.
It's okay. I think that also when working with, with smaller teams, I think, as a piece of advice, you should also look at that as an opportunity to take a risk. What I mean by that is that, for example, I know I suffered financial accounting because I didn't have any business background before, so I definitely suffered that class a lot. But at the same time, what I did, my strategy with my team was that for some assignments, I decided just to throw myself and maybe said like, okay, I want to improve in this area. I want to work a little bit on it, but I will for sure need the support of someone who, that's his or her main strength. And so that worked quite well, actually. So that's something that perhaps you should try.
Thank you. I think we've been, and as we explained the curriculum, Borja explained the pillars, and I guess the unique combination, right? Because it's actually we're introducing social sciences into a core business administration curriculum. I don't know if maybe you can share with them part of that uniqueness of the value of you saw of that combination of these two disciplines, and what you got out of it, right? Because at the end, I think all of us in the room are executive, we work in different organizations, but you want to see the value, right? Like when you go back to your workforce, as you were saying, some of it is immediate application. But how does that, that also those disciplines help you in your, or what combination gave you that, what kind of value you got?
What I really liked about IE Brown is that is this weave, and this is partly why I chose it. The technical with the humanities, and the reason I like it is because it all through the course you're asked why. It's not just that you can do it. It's like, why are you doing it? Why are you here? Why are you in the businesses that you're in, and what do those businesses do and why? So it's answering the why in your professional lives. And my colleagues here, my fellow alumni, have referenced some of the courses, the transatlantic slave trade, South Africa. And I guess those are two of the most powerful instances of like why, and how did capitalism go so severely wrong that you got this kind of these crimes of humanity out of a capitalist model or out of a social model. And they're obviously, very, very profound learnings, but they're trying to pull from you a sense of why. And why are we doing business? What's the purpose? And so beyond all those technical skills that Patricia's talking about, when you're sitting in the newsroom or the boardroom or in your executive committee, it's like, why are we doing this? And what's the outcome? What's the social outcome? What's the human outcome of this? And I think that in anything that we do, and it's kind of especially now in the geopolitical environment we're in now, there's a sort of big question mark. Like, where does this go? Why are we doing it? Why do our small actions lead to this? And working that out. And kind of, I talked about the souffle rising. It was something the souffle that kind of rose for me was a sort of moral question that happens throughout this course, which is just kind of, what's the purpose? What's the mission that we're on? And you'll all have different purposes and missions, but kind of trying to ask yourself that in every situation in business that you're in, probably for the rest of your career, that you're having a positive outcome and you're not doing something that is needlessly harmful to somebody else.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's that wise and understanding and the humanity part. And I think it's even more relevant today. We're in a world with ChatGPT. We're in a world with all the technical aspects who might end up being done by someone else, a robot or whatever. So the important thing is that we understand the whys. Why are we doing this? Like the human part, put that on the current world that we are living. It's what makes this program amazing, because at the end there will be a robot doing, I'm not saying the technical part is not important. You need to go through accounting, but someone else. But ChatGPT will end up doing that in 2 days. But the whys and the human aspect and the moral and the ethics are the things that needs to be bring into today's world.
Yeah, I think that the combination of the humanities with the business education really helped me personally to think more critically in whatever I do, in whatever decision I make. And that's something that I consider to be my added value now in the work that I do. I would say that often when we talk about business, we think, about the strategy, the execution, the numbers, but I feel that adding that human side, and trying to understand what are people's needs, what is their culture like, what are the ethics that are involved is quite important. And I feel that definitely this program has helped me, or taught me that. There's a class that you also are going to take from Professor Sandra Comas. That class is very powerful, in my opinion, because she blends philosophy and business. And so she is going to teach you that, a leader is not only about knowing the strategy and having the right data, but it is also about taking the time to think deeply, to ask the right questions, to challenge the assumptions. So I think that's very powerful. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I couldn't agree more. No, I think the
Yeah.
combination of humanities plus the other technical subjects is the main advantage of the course, and that helps you to have a critical thinking about what you do, and you have many experience during the program, no? As the South Africa experience, that you go on the field, and it's quite eye-opening experience, no? And then, well, you have all those experience with you, and then I guess that from there onwards, it helps you to reflect about the impact that you are making in today's world. No?
Very nice. Do you maybe want to share with them, because I mean, you all come from different classes and some have graduated earlier than others, but you know, I think one of the main questions when I talk to people that are interested in this type of programs, or some of the doubts that people might have, is like, this is a blended program. It combines face-to-face with online, but we won't get to know the people as much because, you know, we're going to be online, and obviously, you know, and maybe you can talk about that, right? Because obviously, I believe it's quite the opposite, how deep you actually get to know the people and how obviously the methodology helps. But so I would like for you to share kind of like how actually, you know, all the connections you made, all the people you met, how have accompanied you since you graduated, and opportunities that have risen within your classmates or networks, even, you know, and all kind of that, you know, that value that you got obviously from your peers, and how it has accompanied you since graduation. If you want to maybe share some examples.
Yeah, I can start maybe. I think that you still don't believe how many hours you're gonna pass with each other. I mean, in the next 15 months. So, have my anecdote that is in the first residential period, just to give you an example. Actually, with one of the guys in the group, I mean, in the class, I didn't have that much contact at all, because, you know, we were 28, almost 30. And well, we didn't have that, I mean, it was from Asian origin, I don't know, different from me, long hair, long ponytail. I'm very classic. So, well, we didn't have the opportunity to socialize a lot in the very beginning, because it was an ample class, no? So at the end, I mean, to make the story short, we ended up in the first group together, and since then, it's my best buddy from the cohort, no? So at the end of the day, what I'm saying is that you will realize that you're going to spend a lot of hours with many of you, and even that you are online, because you have, I mean, online today is not like maybe 20 years ago with the Zoom, Teams, and all these tools. You will end up knowing more about the guy next to you than probably from many others, and that is was something that you will leverage in the years to come. No, so at least from our cohort, we shared different WhatsApp groups. We've met several times after we graduated, and again, you are a big group, so at the end of the day, you will end up having been more close to part of the group than others. I think that's life, but for sure you will be leveraging from their expertise, and at the end of the day, having new friends. No?
And some people have actually had some startups, right, in the class.
Yeah, and I mean, for instance, in my cohort, some of them became investors altogether. I have another anecdote that for instance, in one of the classes, I did a pitch of my own company. Some of my colleagues invested on my company. No? So, and actually, it was good for them because they made a lot of money.
So they like you, Javier. They like you.
Actually, they still come to the General Shareholders Assembly, some of them. So just to, to have fun and meet there, and they keep following the company, no? So So no, you do a great connection.
Someone started a company with the husband of one of your
That's
colleagues.
another thing.
Which they're not married anymore, by the way.
They
But there's
divorced
still-
and, but
so a lot of opportunities and.
That's correct. Yeah.
Exactly. Does anyone else want to go ahead?
Sure. So I would say, two things. So one, the online classes, you would guess that, they're online, so the contact with your classmates is going to be limited, which is true. But at the same time, for me personally, just jumping on a call at, my time zone, 9 a.m., it was fine. It was actually nice to see all the faces of everyone and then just to get to hear their thoughts and ideas. It made me feel that I belonged, that I was part of a group, that I was still in touch with them. And so I valued that time, and I also valued the flexibility that came with it. Which was also one of the other many reasons I chose this program, because of the flexibility in the nature of the design of it. In terms of my classmates, my friends, fantastic. It's like the best part of the program, in my opinion. I miss them so much. I've made fantastic friends, Gabby included, and I've learned so much from all of them. And it is very inspiring to see how each one of us during our cohort, each one of us was in our own journey, our own mission, for this program. And just to have the chance whenever we maybe made online dates, or maybe when we got the chance to see each other in person, just to root for each other or support one another. I am very proud of my cohort. I have friends who, during the program, they launch a business, they launch a startup. More recently, some of them have started their own either consulting business or branding agency. Some who were entrepreneurs. Unfortunately, after the program, they decided, actually my business is not going well. I decided to close it, but now this person in specific got a fantastic job as executive director for a transportation company in Romania. So there are so many creativity in our cohort, and I'm sure it's going to be the same case in this new group, that the network, the friends that you'll make is just invaluable. And so I think it only requires to have an open mind, to give everyone an opportunity, go beyond people's titles. The job positions, go beyond that and really get curious about who that person is. As you were saying, maybe that person is, looks very different from, what I'm used to, or it just lives on the other side of the world. Like, I want to make my mission to get to know that person. So I guess it just requires to have an open mind.
James, you want to go ahead, or Paula?
Go ahead.
So you've suddenly got a Rolodex of 40 friends all over the world. So I know exactly who I'm going to see in Orlando. I know who I'm going to see in Boston. I know who I'm going to see in New York. And if I don't see them when I'm there, they're going to be really upset. And those are my that's my cohort. It's really surprised me how cohesive, as you can tell, all these relationships are. Because maybe at the time they're not that cohesive because you're fighting over some deliverable. but actually, in the months, years afterwards, this is a very, very cohesive group that you're part of. As I said earlier, we've still got a WhatsApp, Cohort 10 WhatsApp group. It pings all the time. It's people telling you stuff, joking. There's a bit of business activity in there. But you've got a global Rolodex. It's amazing. And a really high-quality global Rolodex that can unlock all sorts of possibilities for you. Now, in my case, I just went from newsroom to boardroom with the same company. I think I'm probably the outlier in my cohort. This experience unlocked a lot of my cohort members in really, really positive ways. And now they're on their third promotion now. They've done a startup, they've changed jobs twice. They've gone from one asset manager to another asset manager. They've gone through one they've gone from Pinterest to Reddit to now a pet company. Really interesting kind of entrepreneurial dynamic paths. And I think that's what this definitely kind of energizes its students in unusual ways, and unlocks professional opportunities. And I'd love IE Brown to do a little bit of a study to kind of look at what happens to these cohorts and how many job changes happen and how many promotions happen and how many salary increases happen and how many people become CEOs. One guy who I think you've got a New Zealander in your group, we had a guy who did it from Australia. It was incredibly difficult because you can imagine the time zone warp that he had to do and what times of the day he had to participate. Well, he's now CEO of a really major wind farm company in Australia, kind of putting up wind turbines all off the coast of Australia. And he sends us these pictures of himself in his kind of high-vis jacket and his hard hat, kind of, transforming the energy economy of Australia as a CEO. Isn't that cool? So, and I'd love IE Brown to do a bit of that kind of research and data to kind of show what happened to people in terms of their careers after the MBA, because I just know it's positive.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yes, I think I agree with what everyone has said. You'll get to know everyone. You are going to spend a lot of time together. As I said before, I graduated many years ago. So in our case, I think time passes. And when we graduated, I think there were not as much as social media things as today. But we still get in touch. Of course, you end up being more friends with certain people as in life. So with some of them, we'll keep talking from time to time, see how our things going. But there's one thing that I'm sure that if I try to contact any one of them, they will answer that email gladly, and they will be willing to have a quick chat. So, because you spend so many time together, you go through a lot of things, you share stress, you share tears, you share happiness. The day you graduate, you're like, this is the best day ever. I remember by half of the program, some of us were like, can we just get half the degree? Like, that will be fine. We're tired. So the experience that you get together, even though you are in different parts of the world, so, I don't know, bonding at a certain time that even if you don't speak very often, you know there's someone out there that will take your call, basically.
Wonderful. So any final thoughts or things that you want to share with them before I open maybe for Q&A, things that you think is important that we missed and we didn't cover and you would like to share? Ana Maria?
For me, it's just embrace this experience fully. And as I mentioned before, be curious about the people, the person even right now who is next to you. And be prepared to work, but at the same time, just I don't know, just do it all. Like even like the residencies were my favorite part. Were so much fun. I have to say that we had quite a active cohort. We partied a lot. It was
Yes.
so much fun. There was
Yes.
a lot of alcohol involved, late nights.
Yes.
But then next day, each one of us, we showed up, we would do the work, and it was just very exciting to spend time together and have also that in-person time. So the residencies were a fantastic time. I'm sorry about the weather in Madrid, by the way, this time, so hopefully next time will be better, but yes.
There's 2 weeks. Second week will improve.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to share any final?
What I learned was, so we're in a digital era, lots of digital transformation, lots of AI. What I learned from this course was that business ultimately is about human relationships. It's not about transactions. It's not even necessarily about money. It's about human relationships. And if you're buying a company, or if you're being bought by a company, the success will be on the human relationship bit, the sort of EQ, the emotional bit. Won't necessarily be on the multiple. It'll work because somehow the personalities fit, or the cultures fit, or the ambition fit. And that I guess what I took away from this was this sort of, the intangibles matter as much as the balance sheet and the income statement.
Yeah.
Of course, those are kind of rock solid foundations as well, but the human relationships over the transaction is what I learned.
I like it.
Yeah, no, I would just wish you a lot of luck. Again, as we've been saying today, enjoy the ride, be committed, be respectful with all your teammates, and be very organized. So talk to your boss, to your wife or husband, to your family. Be very relaxed on the residential periods. Try to be focused on the program. And then when you are back home, just try to work to balance everything. And for that purpose, try to be very open-minded. No? Talk to everyone that you are doing the course, that you have some conflicts on your schedules and that you need to organize. And I'm sure that if you do this well, you will enjoy a lot. No? And yeah, enjoy.
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 It is. Enjoy it.
I think that's a common thread, right?
Yeah.
So I would like to, open the floor for questions, and I'm sure you have many. And I don't know if we have a microphone, so to help. So we have a question right here. Right. I think she has a question. Thank you.
Hi, thank you so much for sharing all of your thoughts and feelings. My question is more practical. I'm one of the ones that works full-time and full-time family. How much time did you dedicate? Like, I know that everyone has a subjective amount of time, but is it 2 hours, 5 hours? And what did your schedule look like? Done.
I was working during the program, so I can tell
I
you
think all of them were.
my experience at least. So it's not. I mean, for me, it wasn't like 2-3 hours per day or 4 hours per day. It was more a matter that to devote a time per week, and depending on your work schedule, or your family schedule, you can devote maybe 10 hours on a Saturday, or you can split between days. But again, you have to respect your weekly calls. You have to respect your teammates' also schedules, and you need to adapt also to them. No, so you need to be flexible enough to fix your own schedule, but also to be sure that this is a teamwork. No? So you need to make sure that you can be free when your colleagues are free. No?
Two bits of advice. So if you have a partner, tell your partner that they're going to have to do more than they were doing, because this program is difficult, and you're going to have to work mornings, and you're going to have to work nights, and you're going to have to work weekends, and you've got to have an understanding partner if you have one, and that they understand why you're doing it and what you're doing. And the same goes for your workplace as well. I mean, you're not going to give 100% at work. And if you do, you're, well, fantastic. But your colleagues around you also need to know that you're doing an EMBA, and they're going to be understanding. They're going to be just fine. But it's much better that you tell them and you're straight with them and say, I'm doing this. Over the next 15 months, I'm not going to be 100%. I'm going to be 70% or something. And you're just going to have to, you're just going to have to help me here. And they will. And that's kind of same on the domestic front as well. You're going to spend a lot of time sitting in a room writing essays, doing deliverables, I mean, you're already probably drowning in reading. You can't do all the reading. This thing about prioritizing your partner, prioritizing your kids. You do come out the other end, but it's really tough.
And some people, I think, start early in the morning, so they block. So from what I hear, normally what people share is that, they normally block a time during the day. It could be early in the morning before you go to work, it could be lunchtime, or it could be at night. So depending on your job, your kind of like your life and your schedule, that's how usually people, and try to be constant, right, through the week, because obviously, you've seen it in the pre-program, how the forums work, right? If you don't connect, and if you leave a couple of days, then you get in and you see, oh my God, what has happened, right? So So the reality is like try to be constant, right? So if you're really organized, as they were saying, and you really force yourself to block a time, and you, at the end, we should be managers of our time, right? So if you have your calendar, you block that time and talk to everyone, to your family, to your work peers and everything. It's like, this is my time, then you'll do fine, right? And then if you miss that, well, maybe 1 week, you won't be obviously up to date, but as James was saying, continue, right? Because it's an enduring journey. Like, don't just like suffer or, you know, you say, oh my God, I'm tired. Continue, because this is a long-term marathon. So you need to be there. But I think organization, as Javier was saying, I'm blocking a slot, and each one can be a very different slot during the day, depending on your needs. But I think that's what most people say, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Any other? I think there was some question right here.
Yeah. Okay.
Ah.
All right. So just to say a big thank you. I really got a lot of insights from all that you have shared. And for me, one of the things that brought me to this program is the leadership development part of it. And that's where I'm going to really just anchor my question. And then just picking up from what Lee said in the morning about leadership and the areas of development, I would like to just hear from you. What area of development did you come into the program with, and how that has changed after the program? Thank you.
Very good question.
Very good question.
And not an easy one.
Not an easy one.
I'm not sure I'll answer every aspect of your question, but what comes to mind is that for me, one of the main learnings was about business leadership that I didn't have. Perhaps I had a good instinct, and based also on my background, the education I received, but I feel that the business leadership I didn't have. So by that I mean, and also what I mentioned before, taking the time to challenge, assumptions, to ask questions, to really take the time. I feel that I don't remember how I was before the program, but right now what I can tell you is that I am definitely more of a critical thinker. Perhaps I used to just listen and say, yeah, okay, but now I really take the time. Like, what is it that you're trying to do? If we take this decision, where will it take us? Just because we've done a specific thing the same way over the last 10 years, why should not just take a moment and reflect if that still applies, or maybe we should pivot and do something else? So perhaps I am now a more critical thinker, and in that sense a leader, I would say.
I think flexibility, maybe it's one, because I think leadership is a very personal journey, because we all come with certain strengths and we all come with certain weakness. So you could be very good at certain things, but at the end, if you're asking questions, if it helps you to ask questions, to really listen to your team, well, if you ask questions, then you will get answers. So you need to manage that answers in a way that you feel that everyone has their space. But I think this is something that the program will lead you, like, this is a personal journey. So during the classes, there is something, I remember, for example, Lee Newman was actually my professor, and he was always talking about how we often in leadership use confirmation bias. So we end up asking questions in a way that, do you really agree with me in this one, that? And you start reflecting on yourself if this is something that you're actually doing or not. But maybe that's something that you never do. So it's very personal, but I think that the program will give you a lot of tools and will give you two different journeys and learnings that will help you improve in those aspects that you think you need to improve your skills.
So, as part of the module, you have a personal coach. One module has you have either it's career or coaching, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can go either way. There's a blue and red pill. I went for the coaching. And my coach was an American. She's lived in Madrid for a long time. She was a journalist. Previously, she worked for El País. And she was really fantastic. And she was like a tennis coach in which she just said, you know, there's just one thing, one part of your game you need to focus on. You know, just like if you were playing tennis, it would be how not to do a foot fault or how not to bring the racket back here. Just look at one thing and fix that. I'm not going to tell you what it was, but she was. but she just basically she did the Myers-Briggs tests. She had the Marshall Goldsmith method. She was like a palm reader. She sort of read you and then said, "This is what you want to work at," and she was absolutely right, and it really helped. I can tell you a funny story about kind of one of the other things that I learned from it was that, so for my whole career I've been writing. My job has been writing. But in the program you're doing now, the module you're doing now on the transatlantic slave trade, and I hope Brown still offers it, you get a writing coach. And before you submit, you get the opportunity, I hope it's still there, you get the opportunity to pre-submit your essay to a Brown faculty member who then kind of basically does a little edit on your work. Well, in my case, it wasn't a little edit, it was a really big edit. There was like red pen everywhere. And I thought, hold on, I've been like spending the last 30 years writing for my, people have been reading what I write. But this writing coach, he, to the point about humility, he basically said, okay, too much passive voice, active voice, you've got to make this much more engaging. The last paragraph should be the top paragraph. Completely, and it was like, I tell it to my friends because it's like a really funny thing. And you know what, that writing coach, he was fantastic. And he didn't mind telling a journalist who'd worked for 30 years that he couldn't write. But he did, and he made me a better writer.
Wonderful. Any other questions?
I have the microphone, sorry.
Oh.
Sorry, and I'm standing up because my legs are
Please
sleeping.
power.
Yeah, I have like a practical question. I think this program is like a rocket, and we're just gonna grow a lot. I work for a big corporation, and that can bring some tension, let's say. So I wonder, I mean, my team is super supportive, actually, that's part of why I'm here. But like, how do you manage that tension of your workplace, basically adjusting to your growth? This is something that I would really want to hear how you deal with it, or dealt. Thank you.
There's going to be tension, no? I mean, that's life. You are going to be some moments of tension in the program, and I think that you have to get back to the basics, no? Which is this is a learning process. This is something that you have to choose to join by yourself, and this is how life works, no? If you brought to the table tension, it's going to be bad for the group, no? So you need to reflect on yourself. You need to talk to your friends in the group and share your feelings. No? And once you are open and you open up, I guess that your colleagues are gonna work for helping you relieving the tension, no? as in life. No? Which I guess is the best tip is to be open and share your emotions. No? And then, as we've been telling you, you're going to be very close to some people. And if you can open up to them, I'm sure that sharing the emotions, they will help you to bring down the tension and to focus on the tasks to do and on the good things and not in the bad things, no? Like in life.
I think organization, you need to organize yourself very well. When you are working with this, I remember I had to travel a lot back then, and it was not easy, but at the end, you need to forget about sleeping a lot, and you need to organize, and be as transparent as you can with your team at work. I assume they know you are starting a program, so there are times that maybe you need a hand from them, and if you're working you're trying to do your best, normally they will help you. And also with your teams in the cohort, if you are facing a very difficult time, also raise your hand and share. And you still have to do whatever you need to do, but at least someone could say, okay, I can help you this week with this one or not. But as long as you are organized and start early in the morning or just go to bed later at night, you'll manage to do it. I'm not saying it's going to be easy because you will be tired, but it's worth it.
Yeah, I would say that if you feel that, where are you?
Back there.
Yes, I would say that if you feel that at work your team is not being supportive or is creating tension, it's exactly what you said. I think that, I mean, open communication can help, but if it doesn't, then it's up to you, right? Like for the next 15 months, it's just getting like very disciplined, you know, with your time, blocking times at, you know, during lunch break or before you go to work, and just make it work somehow. But the ideal scenario, of course, would be that, you know, you have supportive teammates, right? But yeah, happy to give you more ideas if you want.
And the great thing for your company is that they're getting a great return on investment in you, and that over the period they will see changes in you, your colleagues will see changes in you, and at the end of the program you're going to be a better executive, and that's great for your colleagues, and that's great for your company.
Wonderful. Yeah.
My question is basically a follow-up for the rest of the folks on the panel of something that James had mentioned earlier, which is he had a point of reflection saying that, you know, he wishes that he had been more focused in his writing on his particular industry rather than kind of going and doing research in all sorts of different directions. So for the rest of you on the panel, what is your point of reflection? What do you wish you had done differently? Or is there something that, you know, looking back that, you know, you might have done differently?
I mean, I wish I had more time to read every single piece, you know, for that we received for every single class, just because every reading was incredibly insightful and interesting, and I was genuinely interested, so I just really wanted to absorb all of that knowledge. But to be honest, if in hindsight, I wouldn't change that, just because it is, in my opinion, well, we know one person who was able to read every single piece in our program, and I have no idea how he did that. I admire him for that, but still, it was chaotic. But I made peace with it, you know? I am a perfectionist by nature, and I made peace with the fact that I was not able to read every single piece, or that I wasn't going to write the smartest comment in the forums, or that I didn't have the time to make more research. And, you know, so I made peace along the way, because at the beginning it was very overwhelming, but then it got to the point that, you know, I had to just like stop, you know. You need to change your strategy if you really want to enjoy the experience, because you're going to learn regardless of whether you do all the readings or not. But I guess I had to make that decision if I wanted to really enjoy the experience, to make I don't know, connect with people. I had to prioritize what is it that I wanted, at least during the in-person time or the online time. You know, I had to make those decisions. What is it, or what is the class that I want to prioritize? What is the main topic that I feel is going to bring more value to my career at this point? So I guess I'd make peace with it. In hindsight, I wouldn't change anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have probably wanted to devote more time.
Yeah.
But more than that, I'd say that my main regret right now is that I should have been more organized, in the sense how I save all the info and all the readings. Yeah. Because when you are in the day-to-day program, you just move from one thing to the next, But then after a few years' time, you realize that I would have loved to check now or to reread something that now maybe I have to struggle a lot to find out where I save it. So probably I would reflect more after it. If I were you, I would reflect more on any subject and try to save the pieces that I like it most. So maybe it's not for next year, but maybe in a year's time, you can get back to those pieces that you think that were most useful and be easier to find out where they are, no?
I think in my case, it will be two things, maybe organize. For me, dealing with the professional, my job and the program was not easy. Back then, there was a lot of changes in my company we were doing, and I'm sure there were times that I could have, I should have, and I had the opportunity, but I didn't allow myself to do it, to say no to certain stuff. So I end up struggling a bit, and I think ask myself more often the purpose, why I was doing the program, why I was there, because it changed from time to time depending on the work and the experiences, and just try to reflect in the middle of all these craziness, the purpose and maybe that, I don't know, I would like, I think that basically, yeah.
That's a great reflection. So we're actually going to go to lunch now, so you have more time to maybe ask them any questions. I want to thank each one of you for obviously coming back and for all sharing, your experience with the new class. I see some common threads in all of them, and they're from different classes. And I would say that all of them look for the best in each one of their team members. Look for the best, always. And I'm picturing examples and situations, and they always look for the best, and thought that how fortunate I am, why I go for this fight or why I go for this is obviously not worth it. A lot of humbleness, humility, even if they were very high in the organizations, you're going to see yourselves in your new teams that it's going to be a flat structure, right? And they left that behind, and were just they had a hat of learner. So it's wonderful to see you, to have you back, to see your achievements, and thank you for your generosity and your time, and hope you come back many more times. And anyway, so thank you everyone, and the group will help you through lunch. Gracias.